Hello, I'm Simon Whistler, you're watching TopTenzNet, and in the video today, we're looking at the top 10 most expensive cars ever sold. There are some people in the world who have more money than they know what to do with. Some of them use this money to buy ridiculous things for absurdly high prices, which is pretty much the opposite of fiscal responsibility. Still, if you've got the money, why not spend it on things you love, like classic cars? Sure, they could have donated that money to charity instead, but when was the last time you donated to a charity that you could take out on the open road and get up to 100 miles an hour?
Number 10. 1904 Rolls Royce 10 HP 2-seater for $7.25 million. Let's start with an incredibly old car which to date remains the most expensive Rolls Royce ever sold at auction. It's also the most anyone has ever paid for a car made before 1905, which admittedly is less impressive once you realize that, prior to that date, you basically had the Model T and automotive equivalents of bathtubs equipped with wagon wheels. Still, it's hard not to see why someone would want to pay so much money for a car like this. After all, it's not every car that's going to give you a whopping 10 horsepower engine. Why, with an engine like that, you might be able to reach the breakneck speed of 25 miles an hour. Number 9. 1929 Mercedes-Benz 38 250 SSK for $7.44 million. If Germans know how to do anything, it's how to intimidate the French. Oh, and also how to build cars. We're going to go ahead and assume they accomplished both when they produced this Mercedes-Benz, which looks like the type of car you could either win an old-timey road race in, or perhaps paint black and use to get from your underground evil lair to the grocery store, because even supervillains need milk to keep their bones strong, and keeping your own cows can really stink up that evil lair. This car was actually designed by a fellow named Ferdinand Porsche, but he probably didn't accomplish anything else in the automotive industry. Who ever heard of a car called the Ferdinand anyway? Number 8. 1965 Shelby Daytona Cobra Coupe for $7.68 million. Up until recently, this was the highest price ever paid for an American-made car. Don't worry, we'll be getting to the new champion soon enough. This particular car was one of only 6 of this model ever built by the legendary Carroll Shelby, and was designed for the specific purpose of beating Ferrari in GT races. And because Americans love a good underdog story, it accomplished that very goal when on July the 4th in Reims, France, it won the World Manufacturers' Championship. Number 7. The 1937 Bugatti Type 57 SC Atlante Coupe for $7.9 million. This two-door coupe was an offshoot of another Bugatti called the Atlantic, and there were only 17 ever produced. You can probably see why it fetched such a high price at auction then. It's kind of like if they only made a couple of dozen Boba Fett action figures and you had a chance to pick one up while still in the casing, which was in mint condition. Who would pass up on that opportunity? It's a highly valued car, that's what we're really getting at here. This particular Atlante Coupe was owned by various rich people throughout history, including casino magnate William Harrah, and it makes sense that it have been owned by such exclusive clientele considering the price tag when it was originally sold. Plus, who would want to pay $7.9 million for a car owned by one of the dirty poor? Number 6. 1936 Mercedes-Benz 540 K Spezial Roadster for $9.68 million. Hey look, it's our old friend Mercedes-Benz again. This car was sold at a Pebble Beach auction, and believe it or not, the final price tag was something of a disappointment. You see, many thought that this car had a chance to become the most expensive car ever sold for a variety of reasons. First, it's one of the few such cars that are still kicking around that were produced in pre-war Nazi Germany. Also, they spelled special with a Z. We're not sure if that's an actual reason or not, but it's pretty damn wacky, so we're gonna count it. Number 5. 1931 Bugatti Royale Kellner Coupe for $9.7 million. Just take a look at this car. Seriously, take a long look. You know how we mentioned the Mercedes-Benz looked like it could be a supervillain's car? Well, move over, Benz, a new champion is in town. We're pretty sure this must have been the inspiration for the Red Skull's car in the movie version of Captain America, because seriously, just look at this thing. This was one of only 6 ever produced with the idea to sell to royalty. That plan didn't work out so well. However, this car is noteworthy not just for looking evil and being utterly silly, but for housing a 12.7-litre engine that was originally manufactured for an aircraft. The unused Royale engines were later put in freaking high-speed rail cars. We have no idea why this didn't sell brilliantly during the Great Depression. Number 4. The 1931 Duesenberg Model J Long-Wheelbase Coupe for $10.35 million. And speaking of the Great Depression, here's another 1931 car that not only went for an absurd amount of money at auction, but was ridiculously expensive at the time of its release with a price tag of $17,000. That would score you a pretty decent car today, so can you imagine having the gall to try to charge that much in the midst of one of the greatest financial crises that the United States has ever seen? Fewer than 500 were ever built in the 4-year span in which this model was available, and this one in particular fetched such a high price because it only had 5 owners and at the time of sale only had 12,500 miles on the odometer. Number 3. 1961 Ferrari 250 GT SWB California Spyder for $10.9 million. Okay, spoiler alert coming up, this won't be the last time you'll see a Ferrari on this list. Heck, we even chose to bump a couple of Ferraris because, frankly, talking about the same cars over and over just gets a little redundant. If this car looks vaguely familiar, it's because it's the same kind that Ferris Bueller stole from Cameron's dad and subsequently wrecked in the wackiest of manners. Think about that price the next time you watch Cameron launch that puppy out of the window at the end of the movie. Number 2. 1968 Ford GT40 Golf Mirage Coupe for $11 million. And now we come to the most expensive American car ever. As with basically every other American performance car built in the 1960s, the Ford GT40 was designed with an eye toward taking Ferrari down a peg in road races. And why was Ford in particular so determined to top Ferrari? Because the company had tried and failed to purchase Ferrari in 1963. So basically the most expensive American car ever sold was built out of spite. Number 1. 1957 Ferrari Testarossa Prototype for $16.39 million. Okay, we're actually kind of folding the two top-selling cars into one. They're the same model, only one is a prototype and the other, well, isn't. The 1957 Ferrari Testarossa Prototype is the first 250 Testarossa ever built, so you can imagine why it went for such a high price. Despite being a prototype, this car was used in road races for 8 years, plus it looks really, really cool. The actual 1957 Ferrari Testarossa, without the prototype tax on there, sold for $12.2 million in 2009, and to us, that's getting it cheap, because holy crap, that thing looks like the Batmobile.
So I really hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, give us a like below, it helps us out. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We put out brand new videos just like this, 7 days a week. And over there on the right, linking over to a couple of other videos you'll probably enjoy if you enjoyed this one. One is the top 10 most expensive everythings, but this time in video games. And then the top 10 toys in your closet that could make you rich, maybe rich enough to buy one of those cars. Okay, probably not. And if you're on a mobile device, links are in the description. And thank you for watching.